Live from the Counselor Studios in Nassau, Bahamas, this is Bahamas at Sunrise, with your hosts Romuald Ferreira and Tiska Pratt.
I hope none.
Good morning, I'm Tiska.
But also coming up this morning in Minding Your Business segment, your guide to surviving the workplace returns today. We're going to discuss how do you behave and cope with the fact that sometimes your boss may be much younger than you.
Yeah, that's
I'm
an
sure
interesting
that
predicament
raises
to be in.
especially if they're around the age of your children.
Yeah,
And,
that's
Most of them will be leaving by the end of the month. Many workers out there will find themselves in job situations where their boss is significantly younger than they are, or conversely, where they are managing employees sometimes double their own age. This morning we're talking about the younger boss, older employee dilemma in the workplace and how you can survive in such a scenario. Here to help us with that, we welcome the Human Resource Consultant Executive, Yvette Bethel. Welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise, Yvette.
Thank you, Tiska.
Now, of course, we had set up our younger boss, older employee scenario, which of course can be very complicated, and we have several different issues at play. What are some problems that can arise in a situation such as this?
Well, you have with younger bosses, they tend to be exuberant and, impatient, and they play by the rules, especially if they're new to being a leader. And, that can be pretty demanding for the more tenured, longer tenured, reluctant to change kinds of older employees that have a lot of experience. Versus, the younger employees that have a lot of maybe academic knowledge, but not as much experience.
So are we just saying then basically we have a situation where, I guess it's a balance, both of them are as valuable in the workplace, one coming with the new knowledge and one coming, like you said, with the experience.
That's
so they
right.
both have something to contribute, and I guess none should feel more threatened by the other.
But then, that's in a perfect world.
Yes, so you're right, yes. Now, I imagine that more than anything else, stereotypes will be at the root of these problems. Older people have the young people and vice versa. What would be some of the more common stereotypes, and how can they have a negative impact on a workplace like that?
Well, with younger people, what they feel about the older staff members are they are reluctant to change. They also feel that they don't move as fast.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's, yeah.
They also sometimes, and it depends on the company, sometimes they feel that these people are not, the older employees are not technically savvy. Some of them have a struggle with Outlook or Word or, those kinds of things. They have their biases. And then on the other hand, you have the older employees who feel the younger employees are, impatient, they don't value them. Because, sometimes I saw an example once with one of my clients where a younger boss picked all of the younger employees to be on the team for a project, and the older employees felt slighted. And what happened was the younger employees were unable to finish the project because they didn't understand the systems the way that the longer tenured employees understood it. Yes. So they still had to collaborate in the end, because the project wasn't quite as successful as they thought it would be.
Wow. Okay, now many old workers believe that the years of service and loyalty should outweigh the education, talent, and performance that a younger worker may bring to the table. What mindset, or how can you get an older worker to accept a younger boss? How should they, approach this when they're going into the office in the morning?
Well, you're quite right, Tiska. A lot of older employees feel that way because, in fact, a lot of them actually train these younger employees who come in and take over from them or go over them in some way, shape, or form. Some of the things that I do with my clients, one of the things I do with my clients, because you have to take it from both angles, because both the older employee and the younger employee need to be trained. With some of my companies that I work with, we do what you call career development interviews, where we talk to all of the employees, particularly including the older employees, and we tell them, this is where you can go This is what you're qualified to do. If they're approaching retirement, we have that kind of conversation. On the leadership side, we coach the younger employees to, know how they're coming across to the older employees, be self-aware, and understand how their actions impact the team and the morale, ultimately.
Yeah, so it sounds like human resources is, well, I wouldn't want to say tricky, but sometimes it can be a quagmire. You have personalities. Now, what I want to do is, into this younger boss, older employee situation, I want to throw in gender.
Okay.
How does that work if you have, let's say, an older employee, younger boss, and one is male and one is female? What do you see playing out in a situation like that?
Well, some of the gender biases I see are, one of the major ones is that, employees feel that women are more difficult to work with because they tend to hold grudges, or they may be emotional about things.
Is that true?
In some cases, it may be true. This is just a bias. I don't have any statistics on it.
Okay.
But I do know that in the U.S., they've conducted a similar study, and they found that most workers, they said 75% of the workers that were surveyed preferred to work with men for these reasons. And I find, men are more logical, they don't get into the story, and they don't tend to hold grudges. And these are just stereotypes. I've worked with women that are just fabulous to work with, and vice versa.
Yes.
But when you intermingle that with ages, you're marrying several types of biases. And it's very difficult then to kind of say, well, it's going to go this way or that way, because everybody's different.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that. Now, we've talked a lot about the negative effects of the younger boss, older employee. Talk about some of the benefits. What are the upsides of having a situation like that? I'm sure it's pretty common. People working.
Yeah, I've seen it where it works very well. You mentioned it earlier. When you harness the strengths of the younger employees who are bringing, different or new theories and philosophies with the strengths of the more tenured employees who are, they know the system, they know all of the complexities, they've applied it in so many different ways over the years. They can build up the synergies and create a better result. You can impact productivity, and overall at the end, you get better volumes if it's sales or whatever the team is about.
Mm-hmm. Now, how can you ensure that the younger boss, older employee work environment is harmonious and productive? I'm assuming that these tips that you're going to give us will probably apply to any work situation, because, we don't all work with ourselves with little replicas of either Yvette's or Tisca's, so we have different personalities that we need to factor in. I think I realize that every day. I'm sure that I bring stuff to the office where people say, oh no, she coming here with this situation. But they have to work with me, and vice versa, I have to work with them. But give us some things that we should bear in mind or be aware of, and not just the younger boss, older employee, but I guess in the workplace where you work with more than one person.
Well, some of the things you can take into consideration in helping this kind of a situation would be to perhaps introduce diversity training, where you train people on how to honor gender differences or age differences. But I don't think training on its own, is going to be the answer. Coaching, I mentioned before, is another opportunity. Emotional intelligence work is another opportunity where you get employees and the leaders to think about the consequences of their actions, help them to become more self-aware about, what they're doing and how that's being perceived. Because a lot of people have great intentions, but it may not come across that way at, when they're delivering whatever it is that they have to say. Taking responsibility. I think everyone's pointing fingers, and people tend to blame. Mm-hmm. One of the things that everyone needs to do, both the younger and the more tenured employees need to do, is take responsibility for making it work. It's not one person's responsibility or the other. It's just both.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Human resource consultant Yvette Bethel, thank you so much for being here and sharing your advice with us this morning. Bahamas at Sunrise will return after this.